What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we'll be doing my NFC North 2025-2026 predictions. It's that time of year. The NFL season's coming up. I did the AFC North in my last video. And today we're going to be doing the other North Division in the National Football Conference with the Packers, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Bears. This is always a fun division, competitive amongst the Packers and, as of late, the Lions, and of course the Vikings. Not so much the Bears, but we'll see what happens this year. We never know. Let's start off with the reigning champs, the Detroit Lions. Obviously, we have some games that have been filled in from the AFC North. But the Green Bay Packers or the Detroit Lions, um, they heartbreaking loss to the Washington Commanders last year in the divisional round. They lost Ben Johnson. They lost Aaron Glenn. So obviously they lost two mastermind coordinators. And, it's going to be tough to match the wisdom that those two fellas had. But we'll just have to see how this pans out. Against the Packers in week one, it's going to be a good game. I'm going to give it to the Lions. Just an old school rivalry between these two teams. The Lions, I think, have had the Packers number as of late, and I think it's going to be a command and victory in week one. Week two, I'm also going to give it over the Bears. I don't see how the Bears march into Ford Field fresh into the season and beat Detroit. It'll be a close game, though, don't get me wrong. Week three, we went over it in the last video. I think the Ravens are just an exciting, fun, young team that is hungry in the regular season. I think they get it done. Week four, a commanding victory over the Browns. And then week five, a road victory against the Bengals. Week six, I'm going to give this game to the Chiefs. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be an exciting game. It's going to most likely be prime time. I'm not exactly sure about that. But a Chiefs-Lions game, come on now. That's where the big performances need to happen. And I think that's a game that Patrick Mahomes is going to show up in. And a game where Patrick Mahomes shows up in rarely is lost by Kansas City. In week seven, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. That's going to be a good game as well. I like what Baker Mayfield has kind of done for this Tampa Bay team. However, I am going to give it to Detroit. You're coming off of a tough loss from Kansas City. You're at home, and I think you win that game. Week 9 against the Vikings, I'm going to give it to the Vikings. There's not really a big home field advantage with Detroit. It's an indoor stadium. It's an age-old rivalry, and I think Minnesota goes in and gets a big win off the bye week, off of Detroit's bye week. The rematch game from last year's divisional, we get the Commanders and the Lions. The Commanders are a tricky team. We don't really know what's going on with Terry McLaurin. A trade could be happening. But you can't overlook the fact that what they did last year with Jaden Daniels and they're a young core. They brought in Deebo Samuel. So honestly, I think the Commanders still win this game. They proved themselves last year, and I think they can do it again. Week 11, the Lions and the Eagles. This is going to be a fun game, a primetime game most likely. The two best teams in the NFC, I still think, even though the Lions, they lost a lot of talent, I still think the Lions are the second best team in the NFC. And I think they get this game done. I know you guys are going to look at that Commanders loss and then an Eagles win, and it's going to puzzle you, but that's just how the NFL season is. It changes like that. So I think the Lions win. An easy win against the Giants. I like what the Giants are doing there, but a young Jackson Dart, I don't think gets it done on the road. Against the Packers in week 13, I think they lose that game. We had them winning in week one. I think a split between the Lions and the Packers is fair. Cowboys in week 14, I got the Lions easily. Micah Parsons looks like he's on the move. The Cowboys are just in shambles right now. It should be an easy win for the Lions. The Rams, another very good NFC team, but I'm going to give it to the Lions. This is about when they're going to be heating up in the season, and it's going to be a fun game. Then we got the Steelers. I got the Lions over them, and then the Vikings. We're going to take the Lions on the road. And then the Bears in week 18, I'm going to take the Lions over the Bears. I think the Lions have their number, and I think it's going to be possibly a game to clinch the division. But a 12-5 record for the Lions seems pretty fair. Moving on to the Packers. Historically, the winner of the NFC North, we all remember them, kind of having Chicago, having Detroit's number throughout the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers eras. It's Jordan Love time. I don't think he is, that franchise guy that Rodgers was, but he's a serviceable quarterback at the bare minimum, and he's doing good things for Green Bay. Week 1, we have them losing to Detroit, but in week 2, I think they get a bounce back win against the Commanders. Like I said, it's primetime football. We don't really know what's going on with JD5's number one weapon, Terry McLaurin. I think the Packers defense gets ahead. Week 4 against the Cowboys. Honestly, I'm going to take Green Bay. I don't like Dallas this year. I like George Pickens. I like CeeDee Lamb. I think Dak's in for a big year, but the defense concerns me. Jerry Jones is always concerning me, and the Packers are a great team. They have an early bye week before playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a tough offensive team. I don't think the Packers are going to keep up with them offensively, despite having Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love back there. Week 7 against Arizona. Arizona's a fun team. I like what they got going with Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think it's a winnable game for Green Bay on the road. I have them marching in to Pittsburgh and beating Rodgers on his revenge game. I don't think Rodgers is in for a big season this year with Pittsburgh, and I don't expect a lot. Panthers in week 9. I love the Panthers this season. I love them. But I think the Green Bay at home is just a little bit too much for Bryce Young and that young offense. Week 10 against the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles. The Eagles, they took them down last year in the playoffs. I think they win this game in Lambeau. Offensively, I still think the best offensive team. Defensively, extremely well-rounded, even after losing some of the guys up front like Milton, and Josh Sweat and a lot of their guys. But it's still a great defense. Week 11 against the Giants. I like what the Giants got going. I'm going to take Green Bay. And then a home victory against the Vikings. We have them losing their second matchup with Detroit. And then I think they're going to lose this game against the Bears. It's a sneaky victory. It always happens in these rivalries. A Broncos loss in week 15. And then the Bears, they will win this game. Week 18, on the other hand, I have them losing against Minnesota. It's on the road. I really like Minnesota this season with JJ McCarthy, and I think that rounds them out to 11-6. Spoiler alert: we got the Vikings in third place. We'll see how their schedule pans out in week 1. JJ McCarthy's debut. I think they get the job done. I like the Bears this season, but I think a primetime game, JJ McCarthy gets it done. Week 2, I'm also going to take the Vikings. I like the Falcons. I think they're a fun team with Michael Penix Jr. They're in the rumors for Terry McLaurin. It could be a great offense. I'm going to take Minnesota regardless. The Bengals in week 3, I'm going to take them over. And then the Steelers in week 4. It's just going to be a toss-up game. You never know. Aaron Rodgers does know how to play the Vikings, and I think it will work out in their favor. Week 5 against the Browns, I'm going to have them winning that game. And then they go in their bye, and they fall to the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champs. I think that's reasonable. Philly knows how to play on the road, and I think they'll get it done. And then a young Chargers team, I think, takes them down in week 8. Despite, we'll be seeing Jim Harbaugh go off against J.J. McCarthy. They'll be duking it out. But I think the Chargers, they're building a young core with Justin Herbert. They're building a decent team around him. Week 9, I have them beating the Lions. They'll be splitting that. And then getting an upset victory over the Ravens. As for week 12, I think they lose to the Bears. I don't think the Bears will be that bad to the point where they're losing to the Vikings twice. So I think they take that game, and then the Packers in week 12 seems pretty reasonable. Week 13 against the former Sam Darnold, the former Viking Sam Darnold. They added Sam Darnold. They added Cooper Kupp. I like their secondary with Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. And Seattle's just a fun team. Despite this, I do think the Vikings are going to have Darnold's number. They're going to get a nice win in week 13. And then in week 14 versus the Commanders, I think they win this game. You're at home. It's going to be an intense game, but I think by now JJ McCarthy will be in a groove. And you'll go out and you'll beat the Commanders. Week 15, we'll have to see how this one goes against Dallas. Tricky game. I'll give it to Dallas. I've been harsh on them this entire video. They're going to squeak out some wins. Probably a primetime game we see here. Then we got the Giants and the Vikings. I'm going to give it to the Vikings. I like the Giants. I've told you this multiple times, but I think the Vikings just have more talent. Then we see the season's series split between the Lions and the Packers, and an 8-8 record. We missed this Falcons game. I believe, we gave it to the Vikings. So a 9-8 record, third in the division. It's going to be a bit of a down year, but it's a rookie quarterback in JJ McCarthy. Next, we got Chicago. I'm wishing the best for Chicago this season, but I don't think they will be a playoff team. I have them losing the openers to some rivals in the Vikings and the Lions, and then in week 3 against Dallas, I have them winning that game. I'm back to being harsh on Dallas, but I like what the Bears have in Caleb Williams. I like what they got in Colston Loveland, and I think it's a pretty solid core. Week 4 against the Raiders, it's going to be a tricky game. I give it to the Bears, though. One of those games, not the most entertaining games, but I think it's a game Caleb Williams could play well in. You go into the bye, and then you come out and you lose to the Commanders, but you beat the Saints. The Commanders, I've told you this before, they're a physical team. They're a young team. They're a hungry team. And then off the bye, I think they easily get this job done. Maybe the Hail Mary incident will occur again. Against the Saints in week 7, the Saints have nothing going for them this year. I'm absolutely taking the Bears. Then I have them losing to the Ravens, losing to the Bengals, and then a week 10 matchup versus the Giants. I'm going to give it to the Giants. I think the Bears and the Giants are structured pretty similarly. I just think the Giants are a more flashy, fun team. I'm going to give it to them. Week 11, I have them beating the Vikings. And then week 12, Rodgers, he knows how to play the Vikings. He knows how to play the Bears. He's going to get it done pretty easily. Week 13, I have a commanding victory by the Eagles. And then in week 14, they upset the Packers and then take a good win against the Browns. Finally, in week 17, after beating the Packers, or losing to the Packers and losing to the Lions in week 18, week 17, I'm going to give it to the 49ers. So overall, a 6-11 record. I know it's disappointing for some Bears fans, but I just think there needs to be a better core around Caleb Williams for him to truly be his best. Don't get me wrong, they got some stars with Jalen Johnson. I think Colston Loveland will be great. And I don't think I could see them going 8-9. But I think that's a pretty fair prediction. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I got the Lions, Packers, Vikings, and Bears, and I will see you guys next time.